Guys, welcome back to our Texas Homestead. Today we're going to do Texas style brisket. A lot of people, especially outside of Texas, a lot of people in Tennessee definitely don't know how to cook brisket, and today we're going to show you. So I'm going to bring you in, show you how to pick a brisket from the store all the way to cooking it, and kind of explain how it is all the way through. So let me bring you in and we'll talk about it. All right, this is a 17-pound brisket. This is bigger than what you usually normally buy. Usually buy 8 to 12 pounds. We have a bigger family, so I have to buy something a little bigger, but it's still gonna work out great. When you go to a store to pick out a brisket, this is called a packer style brisket. See, it's got the pack. You can get them anywhere from choice to select to prime. This is a choice brisket. To me, it doesn't matter when you're buying a brisket what kind of brisket you buy. One's going to have more marbling, different fat, whatever. So let's cut into it and show you how to trim it and get it ready to go on the pit. You can do them in an oven and stuff, but it's just don't get that smoky flavor that you would get on a barbecue pit. All right, this, as you can see, is silver skin. Okay, need to try to get most of it off. This one stalled out a little bit more than I wanted, but we'll work our way through it. This fat cap is super hard, so what you're gonna do is come through and you want to cut it, but you want to make sure you save all the meat you can. So as you're cutting down, so you figure this one's 17.5 pounds, including all the fat. So it will be less. Cook times, wrap times, what's considered a stall. We'll go over all that through the video at the proper times that it's actually happening. I'm going to try to make the video short enough that you'll watch it all the way through and be able to get all the information that you need to do it. Because brisket is easy once you learn it, but getting it down to where you learn it is the hard part. Now where I'm cutting right now is a flap that actually goes all the way through. Now you don't want to take off all the fat for the simple fact that fat's flavor, it cooks down, so that way you're really not having to deal with anything that's really tough. Brisket is probably one of the toughest parts of meat on a cow. So the long process of cooking it properly and breaking it down is the key. Now while I'm sitting here cutting this, y'all have a chance to go in and hit that subscribe button, go ahead and hit the like button and show us a little bit of support, because right now we're still at about 86% of the people that watch us aren't subscribed. Which is no bueno, it's no good. All right, now you can actually go in and not trim it at all and put it on the barbecue pit, which is still really good. It doesn't really affect it, but my wife doesn't like a lot of fatty meat, so I have to make sure I trim hers. All right, backside. See, somebody already cut this one somehow. I guess they did it at the butcher. Don't cut off all the meat on the backside. I mean, all the fat on the backside. I think this thing's been cut twice. Whoever ever at Excel who packed this thing didn't do me justice on the cut. I mean, if you want to square it up and everything, you can. I don't. Your littler ends are going to cook faster, of course. But whenever you're temping it, if you have a couple temp gauges, it's great. You can temp both sides, the small end and the big end. I really don't want to remove too much. What I'm looking for is the really hard fat. The harder the fat is, you can get some that's like almost like a brick. But that's what you're trying to get out. The soft fat will break down and keep the meat juicy throughout the cook. But here, some of this marbling here, it's actually super hard. Since I have an opened gap here, I want to keep as much fat. Since I have these cuts in it from the butcher, definitely want to keep some extra fat there because this is going to cook a little funky. This is going to get done a whole lot faster. It's all just hit or miss when you're cooking. But just remember, whenever you're buying a brisket, it has to fold in half in the pack. So when you're out there looking at them in the store, it has to fold. If it doesn't, the meat's going to be way too tough, and no matter how much you cook it, it will never get as tender as it should be. Okay? And this is that flap I was telling you about I was cutting out of. This is your front side. This is considered your flat. This is your point. This is where you get all your slices, and this is where you get all your chopped beef. So, all right. Pretty much done with trimming this one, and I'll get a pan and everything and show you how we season it and go from there. All right, we're back. Now what I do, I warm up some beef broth, okay? And I use an injector. My other injector apparently died, which is a much bigger injector that will do 4 holes at one time, which is kind of nice. You do have to watch out for it. It will squirt out a little different little holes. But let's go in there and fill it up. Approximately 1-inch squares, just like normal, with some beef broth. Guys, girls, it's beef. You want it as juicy as you can get it. It will help hold moisture throughout the cook, make it more juicy when you're trying to eat it. And when you're doing your injection, don't just sit in one spot, okay? Start up high and then kind of scoot down a little bit. And keep pushing that, or go all the way down, and then as you're pulling out, keep injecting. That'll save you from having to flip the brisket over and inject the backside. Just if you're using a metal pan, just don't poke all the way through the brisket through your metal pan. It leaves a heck of a mess on your counter. And we did save some of the scraps from the trimming that had some meat on it for the dogs. You know, they're carnivores. They kind of like that little treat. As you always notice, mine are typically always in here trying to wait for us to drop something. So. Just be sure you give it to them while they're being good. And you'll notice as you go through it, there's spots in it that are tough. You can feel the tendons in the meat. It's fine. Make sure you get a little extra broth there to help break stuff down. See right here, it's not even, I can't even inject. It's so hard. That's it. Brisket's a super tough part of the cow. But it's all in how you do it and how long you cook it. Now, seasonings. Did I already tell y'all to like, subscribe, and share? I know I did, but I'm just reminding you one more time. Seasonings, and you can go through all your barbecue pit masters and this, that, and the other. Everybody's going to give you a different seasoning. But true Texas barbecue, to me, and what most people feel, is simple. You got to think. When brisket really first came around, they didn't have all these hundreds of seasonings that all these guys put on it. So, but when you are seasoning, it's heavy coated. You start off with black pepper, and I mean heavy coated. Push it in, let it get into the meat. Come on, this is your simple threes. Garlic. And if you don't want to use garlic on it or don't like garlic, you don't have to. There's two things that is a have to for brisket. Garlic's an addition for me. The other one that's your main is salt. Now, one thing I recommend about it when you put salt on your brisket, you have to be not letting it set overnight to marinate or anything. You have to be ready to cook it because salt will dry meat out. So if you let it sit on there, if you use rock salt, like the thicker salts, which I actually prefer, but leave them out. It's fine. Now I'm going to drain this a little bit. So that way when I flip it, I don't have just a ton of, it's not really blood or anything. What it is, guys, it's your broth. Now, same thing on the other side. You season both sides of your brisket. Yes, this is all fat, right? But what happens to all this fat when you're cooking? It renders down and goes inside the meat. And that's what makes it nice and juicy and edible. If not, to me, if you thin one out too much with the fat, you take too much fat off, you lose a ton of flavor and you're losing all your juice to stay in your meat. Now, it don't look pretty right now, but it will.
What doesn't?
So, we're gonna get the pit ready, bring it up to temperature, and I'll show you how to get out there and get your pit set up and go from there. All right, as you can tell, it's quite bright outside today, but barbecue wise, pit wise, that's what we're looking at. Don't use lighter fluid to start your fire. Lighter fluid will leave a taste in the meat. You can see I use just a lot of twigs, a log to get everything going. I use an iGrill 2 for my temperatures. This has the ambient temperature of the grill. And then I have 2 probes set up to go in my meat. I'm gonna need this. So the meter goes to the farthest side of the grill or your pit. If you want, you can put a pan full of water here closest to the fire, so that way it gives moisture in the air. It's up to you. It does help, it doesn't help. Everybody's got their variations on that. So fire-wise, I don't start closing it up until I have a log that's pretty much burnt in. That way I can just add another log onto it, make sure everything's super dry. Everything I have out here right now is super dry. Plus I have all this to go. This has been out of the rain and everything. It gets heat, but due to this, you know, nice toolbox that I added to my trailer, it keeps it out of the weather. Little tools and stuff for cooking, but as soon as we get everything ready to go on, this is kind of how you start your pit. Yes, I know I need to see. Okay, this is your iGrill 2 app. You can see my pit temp here is at 240. My probes are at 76 and 77. One's a little more in the sunlight, the other one's not. My pit temperature needs to stay between 225 and 250. So right now it's perfect to go ahead and add the brisket onto, and that's what we're going to do next. Okay, if you look right here, you see our iGrill. This is where I have my 3 probes, one for the air temp, which is here. Gives me the air temp at the front part of my grill, where the meat's going to sit. That way it's not too far back, and my temperature could be a lot higher here than what it is in the back. See, I've already lost a lot of temperatures by opening it. So pull your tray out, grab your brisket, fat side up. You want to put meat side down, so that way all of that fat renders down into your meat. Now probes, I prefer at least 2 probes, one in your fattest side and one towards the middle. Since this is on the end, I really don't have to worry about it as much because it's going to get the least amount of heat. Slide it in. Close up your pit, you're ready to go. Now.
Okay. Had a friend try to help me with the video and they hit the slow-mo button, which doesn't give you audio. So I also had to speed up the frames of the video to keep it going. At this point, we're at the stall. Okay. Somewhere between 150 and 180, you're going to hit what your stall point is, where the temperature of the brisket just will not go up any further. You're going to be there for an hour and it's just not moving. So typically, I try to pull it off around 160, 155. Pull your brisket out. Take your probes out, of course. Get you some tin foil. Be sure you if you use like the 3 sheets that I have here, put a seam on that back sheet so that way it doesn't leak through. I did put a big seam in this one, which made the paper a little too tight. Take 1 stick of butter, put on top of your brisket. Hey, butter's always good on everything, right? Okay. Fold everything together. Get it all back in. Put your probes back in. Same spots pretty much, pretty close, wherever you can get it in without tearing up your aluminum foil. Okay. And put it back in. Let it break through the stall, and then you're going to come back at 180 degrees. So we'll see you back here at 180 degrees. All right. We're back at 180 degrees and getting ready to pull it back out. Now you're going to see how much juice is in this. Do not lose your juice. Okay. If you lose the juice, you're in trouble because you will dry out your brisket. So keep everything going on it. You'll see I open it up. The bottom layer even has some juice in it. But what you're trying to do here is open the foil back up so that way you can get bark or the blackness to the brisket in. It's not burnt. It's called bark. So you're opening it up. You're going to put your probe, make sure you put all your probes back in and get your bark set on your brisket. And then you're going to pull it out at 203 degrees. When you hit 203, you're going to pull it back out. And then there's another little trick I'm going to show you. Okay. We'll see you back here at 203.
All right, we're done. 14 hours-ish. It's about where we're at. So you want to come in and take a look at it before we pull it. See, nice bark. Nice Texas brisket, okay? So now what you do, you go back, you rewrap it. So everything you've pulled off to get your bark done. Get it rewrapped all the way through. Try not to cause any holes, because you gotta think it is brittle, the tinfoil, after being cooked for so long. And now you're gonna take it and put it in a towel. Okay? Wrap it up like you would a baby. But this is now your 17-pound baby. Drop it in a cooler. It's going to set in that cooler for right at an hour. And what you're doing, you're letting everything rest, and everything, all the fibers and everything to finish breaking down and accumulating all the juice inside of it. Sorry, that's annoying. That's let me know that the temperatures are not correct. So we'll see you back in an hour. We'll cut into it, see what it looks like, see what you think. All right, everybody, we're back. It's been almost an hour of letting it rest. Bring it out, show you how we cut it and how it looks. Let me get you in here. Bring you in a little closer so you can actually see. Haven't even brought it out of the cooler yet. Now, there is going to be a lot of juice just in the foil itself, so be sure you expect it. And it looks like a lot of it went out on my we're good. I think it all got soaked back up. All right. It may be a little tender, as you can see. We're going to show you how to do this thing. Remember, this is your flat, and this is your point. Your flat was really big, it's really thick. Remember, we had a couple cuts in it already. So basically, just come in. Let's cut your point off of it. All right, folks. It don't get no better than that. Okay? I'm not even sure I'm going to be able to cut a real slice. It's just tender and juicy. Look at that. Let's get down here below it a little bit. It's still so hot. But trust me, we're going to get a good bite of this because this is going to be fabulous. Hot. Absolute great brisket. All right, I'm going to show you a trick though on your point that you use for chopped. Okay. A good simple trick. Remember these really nice thick gloves I've got? Just come in. Look at that. Chopped brisket. Remember, the link for these gloves are down in the description below. You can see how hot this is. Okay. After you get it kind of pulled like that, if you want to come in here and chop it up nice and fine, go right ahead, because it'll do it. And listen, it's juicy. Welcome to Texas. Welcome to a Texas style brisket. Hope you like what you see. And you see this nice smoke ring all the way around it. Fabulous brisket. We even cut, almost got my towel. Cut down a little further. You can see how much juice is in that. So, come back and see us. Be sure you like, subscribe, and share. Tell your friends. Enjoy a nice brisket. Make you one. It's not that hard. I gave you all the tips. Don't forget barbecue sauce. Look down in the link in the description below. I have my link for my barbecue sauce. Best barbecue sauce you're ever going to eat. I guarantee you. See you next time.